Yep, we are
Now we're
live.
live.
Awesome. Well, hey again, Robin.
Hey, Ishaan. Long time.
Yeah,
How's
uh,
it going?
pretty good, right? So there's a lot happening at our company. We've been like, I think I just mentioned we've been hiring a lot. So that's
Right.
been great. We've been sort of going through this change, but I think everyone here would love to understand like the topic, right? The product hunt launch and how you were able to pull it
Yeah.
off on your own. I'll just start with a basic
Hmm.
introduction of ours till people join in,
Yes.
and then maybe we can go to uh, just like dive straight into it, right? So this is starting there. So we are a
Sounds good.
B2B SaaS marketing agency. We primarily work with pre-series refunded startups. So series A to series C is primarily what we do, and we do ads and SEO for them, right? Now a lot of lot of the companies we work with, because they're all in the growth stage, have done product and launches, and we've
Mhm.
seen some of them don't make any impact at all, and we've also seen some that have just sort of either either they make a huge impact from a revenue perspective, or they've just changed their target audience completely after the launch, or you know like there's two very different scenarios that happen when you do a production launch, right?
Yeah.
So definitely going to deep dive into that, like how did you do and what happened when you did it. But could you just maybe start with just introducing yourself first?
Yeah. So thank you for Ishaan for having me. Folks, I'm Robin Singhvi. I'm the founder of SmartCue. And I think before we speak about SmartCue, a little background about me,
Yeah,
Ishaan, if that's okay. I think
yeah,
that will help, right? So as like a lot of startup founders, I have a computer science degree from India. Moved to the US to get my MBA. Post that, I spent about almost 12 years, I want to say, with startups of like various sizes, all in the B2B SaaS space, and we sold to enterprise clients. My roles at these companies were sort of primarily at the intersection of sales and product. So, a solution consultant or a solutions architect, and nowadays there's sales enablement, right? So I was always part of the sales function. Now, as part of that role, my team and I were responsible for sales training, uh, which nowadays has transformed into the buzzy term of sales enablement or sales readiness. Back then, it was just sales training,
yeah,
right? But even back then, I used to watch as sales reps really struggled to do justice to the products that we were selling because they were
yeah,
doing either vanilla, sort of one size fits all demos and pitches. Uh, my team and I implemented a number of different solutions, whether it's like LMS solutions or product walkthroughs, but none of them really worked in ensuring that we had, a standardized product demo and demo workflows, right? Um, the big aha moment for me was, when I heard one of the reps in my company say, she came up to me and she's like, "Hey, Robin,
mm,
this efficiency tool that you're trying to deploy is only improving the efficiency of my boss. But for me, it's only adding friction to my workflow. So you know that I'm never going to use it." I was like, okay, all right. I see where this is going.
yeah,
Now, fast forward to 2020,
yeah,
the pandemic hit. Virtual selling now is so much more commonplace. Like this
mhm,
interaction is no longer novel or something that puts people off, right? Now,
yeah,
side effect though of virtual selling was that sales reps could no longer just use their charisma or just wine and dine or schmooze their prospects to a deal. You have a very short impersonal 30-minute Zoom call, Google Meet call to now convince your prospects that
yeah,
your solution or product really solves their pain point, right? And now the product had to shine. Product demos were now an even more critical piece in the sales process, right? So long story short, that essentially was the perfect storm for me to try and solve this problem of standardized yet personalized product demos. So I
yeah,
went back to first principles, tried to uncomplicate what I was trying to solve, and that's when it sort of all clicked. Like if we are to build an efficiency product for sales teams, the bedrock needed to be that can we reduce or eliminate the friction in the sales rep's existing workflow, and that's essentially what culminated into SmartCue. So I know that was a long-winded introduction, but hopefully that helps.
No, this is really interesting because I'm sure you remember this, right? So
Huh.
we had this conversation where I where I actually looked at your entire product, and I've seen a couple of other sales similar products, right? And then I also looked at all your copy, and I tried to understand and like what is SmartCue, right? And I told you this, that hey, like I've looked at a bunch of these. This is the simplest sales demo solution, right? Like across everything. That was my personal opinion. And then if you look at the story, like everything else is they just try to put so much into it that there's a lot of friction to use it. And when you look at SmartCue, it just sort of works. You don't have
Yes.
too much jazz. It just sort of you can. It's made to exactly solve the story that you sort of heard that day. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, coming from a marketer that my copy is half decent, I'll take that because it was not written by a marketer.
We will get to the sales versus marketer thing later.
Yes.
But uh, cool. So I at SmartCue, right? Coming back to the like getting to the product hunt launch, right? What was happening before product hunt? Could you tell? I just want to understand where was SmartCue, or like I'm sure it has changed a bit, but just before the product hunt launch, right? Where was SmartCue? What were you doing for marketing or sales or whatever? And then like how did that lead to the decision of hey, let's do a product hunt launch?
Awesome. All right. So to set the stage, on October 21st is when we officially complete 1 year as a company, right?
Oh wow.
So which is like 8-9 days away. Now, when we started last October, the whole goal was let's have as many conversations as we can, try and validate the problem, see if it's even a problem, and then, decide or come to the realization whether that even if it is a problem, is it a vitamin or a painkiller, right? So are
Yep.
people really going to pay for it, or is it a nice to have? Quickly enough, we realize that it is a problem, right? I mean, and some of the bigger players in the marketplace are sort of testament to the fact that this is a real problem that needs solving.
Yep.
Post that, we built out an MVP, tried to, get it in the hands of customers. And as you can imagine with MVP, you're putting out fires left, right, and center. But the good thing was they're like, okay, the story you've sold us is powerful.
Yeah.
We buy into this story. Your execution still falls short. I'm like, yes, of course, fair enough. We know that. Now I want to say like in March, February, March of this year is when I was like, okay, at one point of time, you talked about what marketing we were
Mhm.
doing. The marketing really was Robin going through his Rolodex or LinkedIn, and over the 12 years that I've spent, I'm like, okay, who do I know? Who can I hassle, like, nag and, kind of bully into using the product? Well, that worked fine, but after a point in time, we're like, okay, these are people that in some form or the other have some sort of bias towards the product because they have a connection to me, right?
Yep.
So, and also this is not scalable, right?
Yeah.
So as a tech company, like what are the things that we can do to quickly get validation from unbiased, critical, smart folks, right? And I think especially for folks in the tech
Mhm.
ecosphere, like launching on Product Hunt is like in a way the holy grail, right? So
Yeah.
that's when the seed was planted in my head that okay, I think we need to launch a Product Hunt. Now, as a B2B SaaS company, a lot of folks told me that don't launch on Product Hunt. Your ICP doesn't live there. A fair point, right? Absolutely true. But what I realized is, or what my conviction was, that my ICP, which is head of sales, head of product marketing, head of sales
Mhm.
enablement, may or may not live there. But what I do know is product managers, CTOs, a lot of sales engineering leaders do
Yeah.
spend time on Product Hunt. And if I can get them to buy into my product, then the target companies that I want to go after, these people will be my
Yeah.
champions, right?
Yeah.
So that was my conviction. I was like, all right, I think I have enough conviction. We're going to launch. And so that's when the whole kind of quote unquote machinery was kickstarted. But we'll talk about what that machinery was. It was
Yeah,
really like a
yeah.
single axle, one person bicycle, unicycle. But that kind of was the before pre-product hunt
Got it. Yeah.
stage that we were at.
Awesome. So I just want to maybe take a pause before we get there
Yeah,
and just ask a couple of questions, right? So, or
sure,
just
sure, sure.
maybe not even, these aren't questions, it's just something I noticed, right? One, founder led sales is probably this thing that every SaaS company should do. I've seen some, like, I think all great founders, right, understand that they've been doing this. That's how sales happens first, right? That's awesome, right? Second is, uh, what you mentioned, right? Usually, whenever we listen to found product hunt launches, the reason why people do it, it's either because of, hey, I want more leads, or I want revenue, or I want PR, I want visibility. But you
Hmm.
said I wanted feedback,
Hmm.
unbiased feedback, right? And
Hmm.
I don't think people realize how important that is, because just when you're launching off, you need three things, right? You need people who pay you, people who give you feedback, and then people who refer you. And the just the fact that is most impressive to me is that like when you're in the weeds, it's very hard to not it's very hard to realize that, hey, I don't have people who are giving me good feedback, and you were able to do that, and for that you did the entire product launch, and that just is personally for me is very, very exciting.
No, thanks, Ishan. But we were talking about this earlier. The reason I focused on feedback, to be honest, is that, like I said, we're not even a year old, right? So
Yeah,
we are still trying to find PMF, right? And if I start going after revenue right now, perhaps I'll
mhm.
get that also. But
Yeah,
like how, I might hit a ceiling much quicker because I'm
yeah,
trying to do too many things. I'm not really sure what works or what doesn't. And so for me, I was like, I really need to figure out what is that one problem that will help me, kind of go to whatever, million, 10 million, 100 million ARR, right? And that's
yeah,
why, like, my primary focus was on feedback. So even like right now, if you go to the website, try to use the product, we don't ask you for payment upfront. We give you a 2 week trial and use the product. There's a big feedback button. There's a big intercom chat button. Like, tell us, right? Like, just
yeah,
tell us what's right, what's wrong.
yeah.
And that I think is key for us.
Awesome. And I think that's what I think the biggest takeaway till now. Like, when should you, like, one very major reason to do a production launch could be to get closer to product market fit, which is huge. And also, as you mentioned, right, to maybe figure out which market or which problem do you really want to solve, and just
Yeah.
play around there a bit. That's amazing. Okay, so
Yeah.
coming back to the timeline, right? So
Yes,
okay,
sir.
now you've sort of thought that, okay, I want to do it.
Yeah.
There are other things you can do as well, right? So why, like, you could have just sort of done, like, if it's just getting users for you could have done partnerships, you could have just done,
Yeah.
there's a lot of other stuff you can do.
Mhm.
So why product hunt?
So I guess that's part of people's personalities also, right? It's like my personality is like go big or go home, right?
Yes.
And product hunt is like the holy grail. Like, you launch on product hunt, that's a big deal. And if you hit number one on product hunt, product of the day, that's like you're like a star, right? Or at least your
Yeah.
company has credibility now, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, yes, I could do partnerships, yes, I could do other things, but
Yeah.
I also wanted to do this fast, right? Okay,
Got
could
it.
I get like thousands of eyeballs on what we're doing in a short span of time? To me, it had to be kind of product
Mhm.
hunt. And if we
Awesome.
have time, I'll kind of tell you a story also about product hunt and like kind of the serendipity that happened there.
So maybe at the end, right? Because I have a
Yeah,
couple of questions.
yeah,
So
sure.
one is like, let's go into the your process,
Yes.
right? And then we'll definitely come back to the story. But like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
process, like, yeah, just like how if I had to do a production launch today, or someone else had to, like,
yeah.
what, okay, no, so what was your plan before doing it? Because I'm sure it changed while you were launching as well. Like, something must have changed, or you must have realized something. So what was your plan while you were launching?
So let's start with, in March, right? I was like, okay, I'm going to launch, or April or May is when I decided that I have to launch. I was like, okay, if I have to launch, what should I do? First is you read all the content that's out there on how to launch on Product Hunt, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, some really great content out there. Talk to people who've launched. The great thing about Product Hunt itself is the community is great. Like you just reach out and DM folks who hit number one, and they will talk to you, right? They will tell you what they did right, what they did wrong, kind of take all those lessons. So I think just like with the product hunt launch, the first, I want to say 2 weeks or so, I was just like, okay, I'm talking to people, right or wrong, how to do it, what should I do, right? That kind of thing. And then the other thing, which wasn't necessarily geared towards product hunt, but I think just as me being a solo founder, trying to build a community around what I'm doing and trying to have a support system, is I sent out like a monthly newsletter, right? Ishaan, you're on it, where I just it's kind of raw and authentic, that I'm like, this is what I'm struggling with, this is what's going well, this is what's not going well, this is where I need help. So everyone who I spoke to said, try and build a community. So whether it's on Slack, whether it's like, your personal blog, blah, blah, blah. As a solo founder, I didn't have time to like write blogs and whatnot. I just started doing it, but I didn't have time to do that. So my community really was that monthly newsletter that went out, right? So it gradually grew over a period of time. I started writing it like as a religion, like, the first month that we launched, I wrote that note out, and I still do it, right? So that was first, right? Build a community. So I use that platform in itself to be like, hey guys, this is going to happen. So, you back me all this while, so you have to, right? So that kind of was the more strategic kind of a thing, which also ended up being happenstance, that, okay, build a community. That's like strategy 101 for launching a product hunt. Then of course, as a person, I'm like, I really like Excel or Excel sheets. So I was just like, all right, everything needs to be in an Excel sheet, like, steps, project management, call it whatever you want. And just started putting it together, right? That, okay, what are the things that we need to do? Like, because I had a really smart intern, he's like, no, let's do this in ClickUp, it'll be easier and blah, blah. Like, sure, fine, we'll do it in ClickUp. So we did that, and then started just creating a checklist of things, of what we need to do. Ishaan, I'm sorry, I know we're live, but there's nobody at home. I'll have to open the door and keep ringing, and the live thing will get disrupted.
No problem.
Give me a second.
Yeah, awesome. Great. So just to sort of like a couple of till Robin is back, right? A couple of things. Like when someone builds a product, right? Like especially when there's a founder who's like, when the product is early, the personality of the founder really reflects in the product. If you look at anything that Robin has done, right? Like, hey, I wanted to do this, so I started reaching out to people. Hey, I want to do this, so I started just he's just like sort of always just going, right? And just like getting whatever he wants. And that, I think, is really really impressive. And that also reflects in the product. Like I've seen it, right? Like you just have to maybe select something, like it's very easy and fast to use, right? And that is, again, like as I said, reflects Robin personality completely. Also, like till he's back, maybe instead of at the end, right, there's also a couple of, I think, guides and stuff that Robin has written on his product and launch, and also a couple of other things. At the end of this, we're going to share that with you, and also maybe just a coupon code in case you want to do check out SmartCue after the free trial. You'll also get like a discount. So, yeah. So till then,
Hey, sorry guys, I was hearing you, and I'm so sorry. It's like
no
you have to
problem.
pick up the package, and then also he wants an OTP, and that doesn't show up on your phone. Then he has to send it again, and then he wants a signature also. So I apologize.
Yeah, no problem.
They're like work from home reality, right?
Definitely. Yeah. So Right.
Not
Where
sure where
were
we
we?
were.
We were discussing just like your approach. You were just like almost.
Yeah, okay. So the plan, right? So then we sort of created a plan that, okay, if you're going to launch, what are the things we need from an asset perspective? That, Product Hunt itself has a pretty great guide, like when you're launching, what are the
Mhm.
things you need. So from a tactical perspective, that's something that you should definitely go through. We were lucky that, I didn't think that it was possible, but like, we reached out to Kevin William David. He's one of the most popular hunters on Product Hunt, and I just cold emailed him. I'm like, hey man, we probably get
Wow.
like hundreds of these, but this is why you should launch Product Hunt. And he was like, yeah man, let's do it. I was like, wait, what? So then it became real, right? I was like, oh my god, like if he's gonna launch it, that means I also have some credibility at stake. So
Yeah.
so did that, and then it's a matter of broadcast, right? That how do you broadcast that message early enough and often enough?
Yeah.
And you were on the receiving end of that, especially on the day off, right? You're probably like, okay, I need to like block Robin's WhatsApps and Robin's emails, but you have to do what you have to do, right? If
Yeah.
especially if you don't have a quote unquote marketing team, right? So use your tools. Like for me, it was using WhatsApp, using Slack, using it well, in the sense that a lot of these tools allow you to schedule messages,
Mhm.
right? So kind of do that and then set it up, right? And then in my case, it's like I built like a core group of like 6 people, right? Friends, my dev team. Although like marketing or like all of this is
Yeah.
absolutely, it puts them off, but they were like, no, no, it's fine, we have to do it. And then launching a product hunt obviously is a big deal for a lot of
Yeah.
dev folks, right? So we kind of did that, set ourselves up, and then it was just like, all right, let's just go. Of course, uh, launching on Product Hunt and hitting number one is also, to be very honest, there's a lot of luck involved, because you have no idea who else is launching. So like if a
Yeah.
Slack or one of these big guys decides to launch on that day, you're like, all right, there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got lucky. So luck definitely plays a part. But irrespective whether you're number one or not, if you're in like the top 3 or 4, that in itself is big validation, and also will get you the kind of eyeballs that you want.
Got it. So for the exact steps, right? Could you maybe
Hmm.
after this, right? If anyone wants the guide that Robin has written, but also maybe one or two that Robin actually liked a lot, right? If you can
Yeah.
just like drop a comment, like anything at all, right? We're going to just send it, DM it to you after this, right? So could you maybe
Yeah.
share some of the guides that you really liked that you were going
Yeah.
through?
Yeah. So I actually, I think I wrote about that, and I
Awesome.
can't remember them off the top of my
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. Like
top of my
after
head,
this,
but
right? We can
it's
just
in
DM
that
it to.
blog post, and yeah, we can definitely add those links as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. So that's
Actually,
there.
okay. So I don't remember. I know the link, but you should Google DhiWise, DhiWise.
They were a
It's
client of.
a Yeah, that's right. They're also a Spear Growth client. So those guys, I think, for me, Vishal, the founder of DhiWise,
Yeah.
he was a great help, and he introduced me to Priyanka, who's the director of
Yeah.
marketing, I
Sales.
believe, and then she like provided me a ton of insights. And the reason why you should, like, if folks are thinking who to look up to, like DhiWise is a great example when it comes to Product Hunt. Not only were they
Yeah.
product of the day, they were product of the week, they were product of the month, they were product of the year. They won the Golden
Yeah.
Kitty, right? So they really know their stuff. So that's the
Yeah.
one that
And
comes to mind.
and
Yeah,
something interesting about them, they've actually launched more than one product, and they've done it multiple
correct.
times.
Yes.
In the same week also they've been able to achieve similar results multiple times. Like they
Oh,
actually have a
really?
second product in the same building. That's something
Interesting.
really cool about them. So yeah.
Ah,
uh, Coming back to like, so okay, great. So
yeah.
we'll also link to maybe DhiWise, right? So also let's look at the numbers, right? Like what happened.
Hmm.
So what happened, what was the result of everything that you did?
Yeah.
What Yeah, like just sort of
So
get there.
yeah, so like I said, right? So we were like still validating PMF. We were very early. We're not doing any marketing. We're still not doing any quote unquote traditional
Mhm.
marketing. So from a just a website traffic perspective, we used to get like a couple hundred visitors a month post product hunt. And actually till date, like I think we get a monthly traffic of about like over 2000 visitors a month.
Oh,
In
wow.
absolute terms, that may not be a lot, but for us, it was like a 10x jump, right? And
Yeah.
then, you spoke about that, we wanted feedback and not necessarily revenue or users or whatever, but the side effect of wanting feedback or the sort of precursor to getting feedback is
Mhm.
people actually using your product, right? So we got almost 400 signups from product hunt, from launching a product
Mhm.
hunt. I've set now, I want to say, like the last I checked, it's about 50 plus meetings that were set. So like
Oh,
people
wow.
actually not like me reaching out. This is like pure cold inbound, like people just seeing that link to my calendar, booking a meeting slot with me and wanting to see the product. So like 50 plus of those. Uh, as of as of this morning, we have like 9 pilots as a
Oh,
result
wow.
of launching a product hunt, right? So I think the sort of aftermath of product hunt was pretty good for us. And remember, I spoke about my conviction of like the technical folks living on product hunt and then referring me, like literally 60 to 70% of my calls were like, hey, I'm on this call because my CTO or my product manager referred me saying that, hey, the sales guy who I'm talking to, they're like, they told me that you're trying to set up a sales team, scale them, train them, monitor them, or analyze their performance. You should check out this product, right? So literally that exact conviction played out, right? So for
Wow.
me, that was great. Um, the last thing I'll say is it's kind of funny also, right? So like bootstrap, right? So like hardly any revenue, like none of that, none of the fancy stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we have a YouTube channel, okay, with like two videos. I want to say two videos, okay. And I think you know where I'm going, right? So for me, it was like I got a text from a friend of mine saying that, hey, do you know, like when I go to your YouTube channel, Walnut.io is like running an ad on your YouTube channel. I was like, Walnuts raised like $55 million, and they're running an ad on my YouTube channel, which probably has like not even a few hundred views, right? So my first reaction, obviously, I was like, oh my God, I'm screwed. I'm dead in the water, right? Like, but then like I paused and I was like, man, if those guys have taken notice,
Yeah.
I mean, the least that can happen is like a few more customers will take notice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll take that. Like, so anyway, that was kind of scary and then funny eventually. So that, I mean, launching a product run, guys, do it. If you're
Yeah.
trying to get the attention of your competitors.
Yeah, like when you look at the actual pilots that are running right now, I'm
Yeah,
sure some of them will, lot of them will convert into customers. So if you look at all of that, right, from a revenue, like a time investment to a revenue, because and money investment also, right? I think it was a pretty solid thing. And also you got all of this. These are just like short term numbers, right? You've gotten
correct.
all of these. Uh, just awareness. Also, you've gotten like this badge that you can show in your maybe a website. You can show it in your sales decks, which also gets you some amount of social proof, which will then help you increase conversion, sales conversion rates, right? So yeah, like overall, I think really good. Like it helped you sort of like give a boost to all the different parts of your funnel, sales and marketing that currently were there, right? So
Yes,
awesome.
yes,
So
without a doubt.
don't
A resounding success for Smart, at least from SmartCue's perspective.
awesome. Right. So maybe we'll just maybe I think you've already mentioned what you would do differently in your blog, right? Like if also like some mistakes that you had made, and
Yes,
also
yeah,
some stuff that you would do differently. We don't have
yeah,
time to go through on this, but hey, guys, if you
yeah.
want to look at all of those notes, like step by step of what Robin has done, it's just a blog. You don't have to give your email ID or anything. We're gonna drop it in the comments, right? And also, if anyone has maybe reviewed this or something, we're gonna DM it to you. If you're watching this, a record version of this is going to be in the description, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, right? Because launching on Product Hunt is, I just wish I wasn't a service company anymore, right? Like if you had a product, yeah. Like that's
All good,
something.
man. Maybe you can help us hit product of the year next time we launch. How about that? Right?
Definitely. So you are launching again. Now we know.
Yeah, without a doubt, of course. Like,
Yeah.
I think 6 month cycle, 6 month cycle. There's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of new things we're building. So, I mean, there's no reason not to.
Awesome. Nice. Cool. Thanks for joining, Rohit, Robin. Like anyone else who's also been here, thanks for watching in. And hey, bye.
Yes. Thank you, Ishaan. Talk soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.